Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which is science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Now, mythology generally is being termed as something ancient history, which is not, because most of the traditions, oral traditions or traditions, have a deep cultural meaning connecting back to some truth. Sometimes the names can change. Like I was researching one Native Americans common saying because I get a lot of data and I was studying all their histories. And somewhere or the other, they tie back to a large bird which carries the earth. Somewhere it carries to a large turtle carrying earth. Somewhere it goes back to large snakes carrying earth. All the native cultures have common stories. And you will be shocked to know Inanna, Unana, Anana. These are the common names given to a divine lady with 8 hands holding 8 weapons. This is what I have found out, which is what, who is it? Ashtashula Praharne Kadakhetakadharani. Very famous description of Durga Devi. So, the very common. So, somewhere or the other, they have all originated. Now, when the things got changed, how the names got changed, I don't know. But the common story is there, common reference is there, and that is prevalent across the world. South America, North America, Europe, and Central Asia, and today it is called Russia, even there. So the world was bound by one culture. And one gene pool, the predominant gene pool has been the gene coming from India, not Africa. In fact, even in Africa, you will find Indian gene pool. Because you have to, when you study the genes theory, then wherever the largest pool is there, that is considered the source, and which is matches all to India. And 99.9% of the DNA of all the human race is the same. The difference is only in the 0.1%. In fact, 99% of gene pool is commonly shared across all living entities across the world. That's how commonality is that we are part of one world. Uh, Today's show is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be some hidden secrets of Mahabharata from the new text or new information which is coming up. So do watch this show and let me know feedback. So let us welcome Dr. M.L. Raja.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Namaskar.
So welcome to the show after a very long time, Dr. Raja. So, the Mahabharata intrigues us. Mahabharata surprises us. Like, I tell you one example. I have read Mandhata's story many times. In Bhagavad Puran is there, Vishnu Puran is there, Veda is there. But in Mahabharata, the reference comes in Mam Ayam Dhata. And his father, he was born from his father, Dhanuashva. And people don't know. And then from the right coke. So Mam Ayam Dhata is the name given to him by Indra. So very beautiful story. And when I read this, I was like shocked. I said, again, I'm reading this, but with the new information. And this is none other than Pulastya Rishi sharing with Bhishma. So what is the secret today we are going to talk about in Mahabharata?
The most missing part in derivation of the Mahabharata date, many scholars, according to their views and study, they derived various dates. But one thing is important thing, vital thing is missing in their derivation. That is, they are saying that Mahabharata year war happened in this year. But how they missed it to link that date with the historical events that occurred previously or later to Mahabharata. Because if you see, Karavela did an expedition, military expedition at Rajgirka Magadha Empire. To recover from Rajgir, the Kalinga idol, god idol, which was taken away by Asoka's Maurya force long back. So one historical event may be causing another historical event. There is a cause and effect relationship is there. So that thing, Mahabharata date, we cannot fix it unilaterally. We have to see that the date is coherent and consistent with other historical dates. That is especially that happened after Mahabharata date. And if there are two historical events and the difference of years between them is constant because it is already happened, it is past. So we cannot change it. For example, many inscriptions and many literature mention that the duration between Yudhishthira to Vikramaditya is 3044 years. Vikrama era started by Vikramaditya. After Yudhishthira era, 3044 years. We cannot change it. You cannot change even to 3043 or 45. In the same way, Salivagana Saga started by King Salivagana of Ujjain, 3179 years after Yudhishthira or Kali Yuga beginning. Many astronomical texts are mentioning, many inscriptions are mentioning. So this year, 3044 or 3179 is the difference between the number of years between two historical events. So we cannot alter it because it is already happened, past. So in that way, date of Mahabharata war, if derived without studying or without giving the dates of later historical events, it is highly insufficient and inaccurate and incomplete. So other dates should be part and parcel of that Mahabharata date. That thing I want to stress in this session.
Thank you very much, because I think sometimes what happens is that the information given by the Western translators is so wrong that the references don't match up, because, and see, the biggest problem has happened is that most of the Indologists, so-called people who study India, without referring to Mahabharata, they like to study the Greek versions of the names of the places, or the British versions, or the American versions, and people like Romila Thapar, who have no business in dating, or they should not be considered historian. They should be considered a mythologist, like creating their own version of story under Western masters. Their academic version is highly questioned now. And we saw recently also what happened to them. So let us begin with the presentation. Let's see what you have got today. And then we will continue our discussion after the show, after this presentation.
Vanakkam, Namaskar, and greetings to one and all. I express my heartfelt thanks to Sri Aditya ji and the volunteers of Sattology, and also the professors, eminent scholars, and students of various universities of United States of America and adjacent Canada and other areas. And also I express my namaskar to the persons or the scholars who are going to listen when it is premiered. So namaskar to one and all. I have been introduced. I am an ophthalmologist and I qualified with MA History and Diploma in Archaeology and Epigraphy. So I am a full born historian now, archaeologist and epigraphist. In this session, I am going to narrate about something regarding important thinking regarding with the dating of Mahabharata. The most missed and basic vital aspect, it is missed by all scholars who are all so far tried to fix the date of Mahabharata. What is that? That is chronological inseparability. There is a chronological inseparability. That I will explain. That vital aspect, that basic aspect, is missed. It is a most important thing, but it is totally missed. In this session, it is part 1 and 2 sessions. In this, I will explain this based on inscriptions. In the second part, I will explain based on literature and other evidences. So in quantum physics, the particle physicist or the nuclear scientist often quote one famous quote. inseparable quantum interconnectedness that exists between all particles in the universe. So all particles are inseparably interconnected with each other in the quantum world. That is, quantum world is subatomic world, where neutron, meson, all electron and proton, all subatomic particles are analyzed. In that quantum physics, there is an inseparable interconnectedness that exists between all particles. So all particles are interrelated and interlinked. In the same way, in history and chronology, there is an inseparable chronological interconnectedness between all historical events, either India or you can say any country or any in the whole world. It is inseparable. You cannot separate it. And they all historical events are interconnected, interlinked, interrelated to one and another. Each other are interlinked through chronology. That is through the time sequence of occurrence. Through that, they are interlinked. So, if it applied to Mahabharata, dating of Mahabharata war, and based on this, it should be that the year of Mahabharata war should be coherent, should be consistent, should be fit with the previous or later chronological dates of historical events. So, based on this, we can understand. So, if the year of Mahabharata war, if fixed, that date should be coherent with the dates of historical events, especially later events, and it should be in consistency and coherent with one another, and the dates should be continuously derived up to even the present year 2023 Common Era. We can say Kali Yuga, also 5124. So, even up to today, we have to derive the date. And we have to show that this my date of Mahabharata war is coherent and consistent with all these dates. Without that, it is totally incomplete, insufficient, and we cannot take. See, why I am saying this? See, one historical event unilaterally cannot be pushed back or forward because it is interconnected with the later event or forward event. It may be cause effect. Yes, I have told already Karavela and Asoka thing, and also the time difference between two historical events is number of years is fixed. It is already happened, past. We cannot change. If it is future, we cannot try to change, but it is past. We cannot change even a single year. So between Vikramaditya and Yudhishthira, I have mentioned. So there are evidence for that. So we cannot change. So because of that, it all interlinked, and it cause effect is there, and also the number of year difference is fixed. Further, in India, there are many dynasties. These dynasties, they are interlinked, interconnected with another dynasties. How it is? It may be martial conflict. They may be engaged in war, and they may also marital relationship. But surprisingly, marital conflict and marital relationship and martial conflict exist between same two dynasties within few years. For example, this Pandya king Maravarman Rajasimhan fought a war with Ganga king ruling Mysore, Sri Purusha, at Venbai. In that, Sri Purusha was defeated. But what happened after just 1 year? He made a relationship with him. That is, his son, Jadila Parandagam Pandya, married Sri Purusha's daughter. So there is martial conflict and marital relationship exists between two dynasties at the same time. So every historical event is related to each other. So because of that, we cannot change or fix a date of a single historical event unilaterally. It should be moved either forward or backward. Yes, n mass, n block only we have to move. Not a single date we can take and fix it, because it is interrelated with other event. The number of years difference would be same, should be same. If we push Mahabharata date, we have to push Vikramaditya date also, because 3044 we cannot alter. So this is the basic aspect and vital aspect has been missed, and it is not given its due importance so far. So how it is important, I want to explain. with all inscriptions of various dynasties. So the importance and how it should be satisfied, that I can show by taking 5561 as the date of Mahabharata as an example. Why I am taking that date? Because it is the many scholars has proposed various dates, but this is the most ancient date proposed by two scholars, and the deviation is much with this date. So if I take that example, I can easily show, and also the who are all listening this lecture, they can also understand and visualize and realize the importance of this chronological inseparability easily. Because of that only I am taking. It is the most ancient date. It is much deviation is there. So it will be easily explainable and easily understandable. In this, I am going to show this chronological inseparability with the evidence of inscription and literature and other evidence. In this session, I am going to take about inscription. Inscriptions of Assam, I will start with. Nidanpur. Assam is a northeast state in India. There are Nidanpur copper plate, Dupi copper plate, and Nalanda clay plate, and Batara inscription. They are supported by the Aihole inscription of Pulikesi in Karnataka Deccan, and Harsha Charita Banapatta, and the life of Huan Song written by someone who Lee, a disciple of Huan Song, and CUP, Buddhist records of Western World, written by Huan Sing itself. Based on that, I will discuss. Nidanpur copper plate inscription was issued by King Bhaskara Varma. He is the king of Kamarupa, that is Assam, or Pragjyotisa, we can say. In that, he mentioned his genealogy. His genealogy started with King Naraka, who is the son of Narayana and Bhudevi. In that, born Bhagadatta. He fought with Arjuna in Mahabharata. This Nidanpur copper plate inscription mentioned the same thing, and also Mahabharata text of Veda Vyasa and Drona Parva 27th Adhyaya mentioned this Bhagadatta fought with Arjuna. And next is Puspadatta and Vajradatta. These three kings ruled. After that, there elapsed 3000 years. The king's name were not given, but it is given that 3000 years were elapsed and many kings ruled. After that, from King Pusyavarma up to King Bhaskara Varma, the genealogy is given. So from Pusyavarma, he is 13th king, and already there are 3 kings. So there are 16 kings and a lapse of 3000 years from Mahabharata war to King Bhaskara Varma ruling period. That we can understand. 16 kings plus 3000 years is the difference between Mahabharata war to Bhaskara Varma. This is the Nidanpur copper plate inscription of Bhaskara Varma. Dupi copper plate of Bhaskara Varma. I thank ASI for using these photocopies. And this is Nalanda clay plate of Bhaskara Varma. All these 3 things narrate the genealogy of Bhaskara Varma in the same way. And Harsha Sarita Banapatta, written by Banapatta, the prime minister of Harsha Siladitya of Pushyabhuti dynasty, who ruled northern part or some part of Bharat, India, from Staneswar as capital. In that, it mentioned that at the early part of Harsha Siladitya rule, one messenger from Bhaskara Varma of Assam, his name is Kamsavega, he met him. Pragjyotisa Iswarena, that is, he is the ruler. Kumarena, Kumara is another name for Bhaskara Varma. Kamsavega Nama, he met. And this Kamsavega messenger narrated the genealogy of Bhaskara Varma. In that, he gave Bhagadatta, Puspadatta, Vajradatta, and all genealogy name. So that we can understand there is literature evidence also. Further, the Huan Song test CUK and the life of Huan Song both mention that Harsha Siladitya and Kumara Raja, the other name for Bhaskara Varma, are contemporary. That it strongly mentioned. And we know the date of Huan Song, his visit to India between 630 to 645, based on these 4 evidences. Those who want, they can verify this. So there are 4 evidences from Chinese records. It is based on Chinese chronology. Based on that, it is 630 to 645 Common Era is found correct. And it is further shown that Aihole inscription of Meguti temple, that Pulikesi II of Western Chalukya Bhatami, he defeated Harsha at Narmada river bank And hence Pulikesi II and Harsha are contemporary. Even Huanswang mentioned Pulikesi also. So Pulikesi II, Bhaskar Varma, and Harsha Siladitya and Huanswang were all contemporary. This contemporariness and the regnal period of Pulikesi II between 610 to 642 Common Era, and all shown by these 6 records beyond Aihole inscription. Aihole inscription also shows this defeat of Harsha. These 6 copper plate and other inscriptions, stone inscriptions, so prove this. And what is the regnal period of Bhaskar Varma? Because Hamsavega met Harshavardhana at the earlier part of his regnal rule. Harshavardhana regnal ruling period is 606 to 647 Common Era. So maybe Hamsavega met King Harshavardhana around 610 Common Era, when Bhaskara Varma was ruling Assam. Thus, in 610 Common Era, there elapsed 3000 years and the regnal period, a ruling period of 16 kings from the year of Mahabharata. Mahabharata to Bhaskara Varma, there elapsed 3000 kings and 16 kings period. So, 3 kings plus 13 kings, 16 kings and 3000 years. So, if we apply this data to the date of Mahabharata war derived as 5561 BCE, from 5561 BCE to King Bhaskara Varma period 610 Common Era, there is 3000 years plus 16 kings ruling period. We have to add, because it is Common Era, it is BCE, we have to add, and it comes 6171 years. And we have to reduce this, subtract this 3000 years to know the regular ruling period of 16 kings. These 13 kings and 3 kings, if we want, you have to subtract this 3000 years. Then it comes 3171 years. For 16 kings, for average ruling period for us, one king is, it is comes about 198 years. It is not at all possible, because human life is at the maximum 100 or 120 years. One king cannot rule for 198 years. So it is not at all acceptable. It is not, in any way, it cannot be justified. So in that way only I am telling why chronological inseparability, that interconnectedness is important. Then coming to another inscription, Bhattara inscription of Assam. It was issued by King Govinda Kesava Deva, who ruled Assam, Silhet area, that is, which is now in Bangladesh, 990 to 1040 Common Era. He belongs to Gaur dynasty. In that, he mentioned his date, that the year of issue of this Bhattara inscription by this King Govinda Kesava Deva, that is 4151 years from the era of the first king of Pandava dynasty. I have already mentioned this Govinda Kesava Deva's Bhattara inscription date and Yudhishthira date, it is fixed 4151. We cannot even say it is 4150 or 152. It is fixed. It is already happened. So 4151 years is the difference of year from the Yudhishthira to Bhattara inscription. That we cannot alter. I thank ISA for using this photocopy. What is the history of Gaur kingdom? It was started in 630 Common Era, and 11th king is the Govinda Kesava Deva, who issued this Bhattara inscription at 4151 Yudhishthira era, and the 21st king is Gaur Govinda. During this period, the Bengal Sultan Samsuddin ordered his nephew Sikandar to invade Silhet, and he succeeded and won the war, and Sikandar was appointed as the first Wazir of Silhet in the year 303. So, if Govinda Kesava Deva issued Bhattara inscription at his middle rule, that is 50 years means 1015, then from that Bhattara inscription to Sikandar capturing Silhet in the year 1033, there will be a difference of only 288 years. 288 years. So, from this Yudhishthira to Govinda Kesava Deva's issue of Bhattara inscription, 4151 years. From this Bhattara to Sikandar Khan and Samsuddin is only 288 years. So, if you add, it is only 4489 years. If you subtract 4489 from 5525, then the period of Samsuddin and Sikandar Khan will be 1086 before Common Era. That is before Christ. It is highly unacceptable. There is no logic, there is no, we cannot justify in any way. 1086 BCE, that is 3108 years before, Samsuddin is ruling Bengal and Sikandar captured Silgat. How can we explain that? There is in no way we cannot explain. So it is not at all acceptable. So this is again proof that chronological inseparability, how it is important. And coming to the other inscriptions, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu inscription, it is Aihole inscription. It is issued by King Pulikesi II of Western Chalukya Badami. I already explained. After Mahabharata war, 3735th year of Kali Yuga and 556th year of Saga era, it is issued. Issued by some Ravi Kirti who worked under King Pulikesi II. So it mentions the victory of Pulikesi over Harsha, and also Harsha mentioned by Chinese traveler as his contemporary. So we know the period of Yuan Song as per Chinese records, which I already explained. And the Pallava kings, Pallava who ruled northern part of Tamil Nadu and southern part of Andhra, it is an important Tamil kingdom. The Mahendravarman and Narasimhavarman were contemporary because Narasimhavarma defeated Pulikesi II and destroyed his capital Vadapi. These are all shown by Pallava inscriptions, which I later explained. So this is the Aihole inscription, the famous inscription. I thank ASI for using these photocopies. And there are other Chalukya inscriptions which I already narrated that shows that his contemporaneous, Pulikesi II's contemporaneous with Harsha of Sthaneswara. Even after Chalukya Badami, the Deccan was ruled by Rashtrakuta kings. They issued many inscriptions. That shows the regnal period of Pulikesi II at 610 to 642 Common Era, based on all these inscriptions. And I already mentioned the Pallava kings inscriptions. 4 Pallava inscriptions prove that the regnal period of Pulikesi II is at 610 to 642 Common Era. These 4 inscriptions. Then coming to the Pandya inscription. Pandya is the southernmost kingdom of India, ruling from Madurai. It is Annamalai inscription near Madurai. The person issued was the Prime Minister of Jadila Parandaka Pandya, king. And date is Kali Yuga Samvat 3871, 3871. His father Maravarman Rajasimha, already mentioned, defeated Western Kanga Sri Purusa and made an alliance, married alliance with him. And he also defeated King Nandivarma II, and who was a friend of King Dandidurga, who defeated this Kirtivarman II. Kirtivarman II also defeated by Maravarman Rajasimha. Kirtivarma II was the 5th king from Pulikesi. Pulikesi during his period, Aihole inscription 3735 Kali. And this Jadila Parandaka Pandya issued this Annamalai inscription, that is Kali Yuga 3871. So both are interlinked. So he is the 6th king. Kirtivarman is 5th king and he is contemporary to his father and his son. So he is 6th king. So from 3871 to 3735, there elapsed only 136 years for 6 kings. So 23 years average for king, it is acceptable. In that way only we have to analyze chronology. And there is, you can find this Pandya, Pallava, Ganga, Chalukya and Rashtra kingdom are all interlinked, interconnected chronologically due to historical events. So there are evidence for this also. And this is Gramam inscription. In the first lecture, I explained this to Aditya ji. It was issued by King Madurai Konda Koparakaisirivarman, Parandaka Chola Chakravarti. His son Aditya, his general issued this. Kali Yuga 4044, Kali days is 14,77,037. Exact number of days. We cannot alter. This date we cannot, even a single day we cannot alter. So this is Gramam inscription. This is the photocopy. It is mentioned in Tamil and Sanskrit. And Sri Mushnam inscription, it was issued in the year Kali Yuga 4060 during the ruling period of Sundara Chola Chakravarti and his crown prince son Aditya Karikala. Sundara Chola Chakravarti was the grandson of Parandaka Chola Chakravarti. So this Gramam and Sri Mushnam inscriptions are interrelated because he is grandson. This is the inscription, and I used that for the front cover of my book, Kali Yuga Inscriptional Evidence. Viyokondan Thirumalai inscription issued by Uttama Chola Chakravarti. He is another grandson of Parandaka Chola Chakravarti who came to rule after Sundara Chola. Its date is Kali Yuga 4080 and given Saka era also 901. So based on that we can derive the Uttama Chola regnal period, ruling period. And this is Tiruvadai Marudur inscription, and again issued by Uttama Chola Chakravarti. Its date is Kali Yuga 4083, 3 years after this inscription, and 13th regnal year. And so these are also the Chola kingdom, which started at a later period from 950, it became rising. And Rajendra Chola coming to ruling in 1000 Common Era. So 950 to 1200 till then they ruled. So based on that 1150 like that they ruled. So there are another inscriptions by Rajaraja I and Rajendra Chola at Karnataka and Klothunga Chola. That shows in Saka era. So based on that also we can show that this later Chola king, especially Rajaraja, Rajendra Chola and Klothunga Chola, ruled Chola kingdom around 1050 Common Era. There is another inscription in Puducherry in Villanur, Sri Kameswara temple. It mentions the Klothunga Chola's date in Saka era. So it is further strengthened. Their Kali Yuga inscriptions were strengthened by Saka era inscriptions of later Cholas. So this flow chart shows clearly how each historical event is interlinked chronologically. This is Chalukya kingdom, this is Pandya, this is Pallava, this is Rashtrakuta, this is Chola. All 5 kingdoms are interrelated. Because Pulikesi issued Aikole inscription 3735 Kali. 5th king is Kirtivarman II. He was defeated by Varavarman Rajasima Pandya king and a war at Venbai. He was also defeated Nandivarma II of Pallava king, who was in turn friend of Dandi Durga, who is Rashtrakuta king. This Dandi Durga defeated Kirtivarma II in a war. And that was the end of Chalukya Badami rule and beginning of the Rashtrakuta rule. And this Chola kingdom was founded by Vijayalaya, and his son Aditya I defeated this Nirupatunga and Aparajita of Pallava. That was the end of Pallava kingdom and rise of Chola kingdom. And during his son Parandaka Chola Chakravarti's son Rajaditya fought a war with Krishna III at Takolam. So all, you see, all 5 kingdoms are interrelated only. We cannot deviate, or we can make a Chola kingdom 100 years later after this Pallava kingdom. Because on the end of Pallava kingdom, Chola race. At the end of Chalukya Badami, Rashtrakuta race. So it are interlinked. So that's for that I want to show that thing. Now, this chart clearly shows that how if all these 5 or 6 inscriptions data are applied to the date of 5561 BCE, how the result will come. So Aihole is 3735 years from the Kali Yuga beginning. Based on this date, they showed that 5525 is the Kali Yuga beginning. That scholars show. So if we apply that, then Pulikesi II ruled at Deccan, northern Karnataka and Maharashtra in 1790 BCE. That is 3800 years before present. It is how we cannot accept. And Pandya ruled 1654 BCE. If you subtract 5525 from this 3871, it comes this. So he ruled 3600 years before present, Pandya king. And this Chola kingdom, 1481 BCE, 1465 BCE. This is Parandaka Chola Chakravarti, this is Sundara Chola Chakravarti, these 2 are Uttama Chola Chakravarti. They are all more than 3400 to 500 years before present. It is not acceptable. If we see from Tiruvadai Marudur to the present date 2023 Common Era, because it is date is 1442 BC according to this date, because only from this 4083 years is the years elapsed. We cannot change it. Because the inscription shows 4080 and 83. So it is 3464 years from Tiruvadai Marudur inscription of Uttama Chola to but actually it is only 1040 years. From Chola ruled for another 200, 250 years after Uttama Chola. After that, later Pandya king ruled for 150 years, and Muslim ruled for 50 years, and Vijayanagara 250 to 300 years, Maratha Empire 100 years, British rule 150 years, independence 75 years. If we add, it will come only 1040 years. Then for this 2400 years, we cannot have any kings, any dynasty ruled. Then how we will fill that? It is a huge vacuum which cannot be filled because there are no dynasties. We know who are all ruled from Uttama Chola till date. These are all the kingdoms ruled, and these are all the period of war. Total comes only 1040, around 1040, rough estimation. How this 2400 years we have to fill? That is the question comes. So based on this, Rajaraja Chola, this date, he would have ruled 1432 BC. That is 3400 years before. But actually he ruled 1020 years only. So this 2400 years we cannot fill. We know who all ruled after Chola. Definitely we don't know. We have all the history. So that is the problem with this date. So that shows the chronological importance. Inseparability of chronology is important. Next, come to another three kingdoms: Kadamba, Hoysala, and Kakatiya. Kadamba are the kings who ruled region around Goa, adjacent Karnataka and Maharashtra. They are issued many inscriptions that are dated in Kali Yuga. I have shown only 10. And based on this, we saw that the Kadamba ruled the Kongan region around Kali 4248 to 4357. That is their period of rule. And Hoysala kingdom, after Chola kingdom come down, this Hoysala, Ballala, they ruled Mysore and the Kongu region of Tamil Nadu, southern part of Karnataka. That kingdom. They issued many inscriptions that are dated in Kali Yuga, and based on these inscriptions, the Hoysala kingdom regnal period is around Kali 4336 to 4442 only. And the inscription of Kakatiya kingdom. Kakatiya kingdom, that also came after Chola Empire. It ruled Andhra Pradesh and Telangana before Vijayanagara Empire. This Hoysala Empire, later Pandya and this Kakatiya are contemporary, and they ruled their respective areas before Vijayanagara Empire. So it shows an inscription Kali 4420. So their regnal period, ruling period is around Kali 4420, Kakatiya kingdom. If you apply this data to the date 5561, the Kadamba 4248, 4357, roughly we can take 4300. This is, we can say 4400. So if you apply this, then Kadamba would have ruled, if you minus 5525 to 4300, 1225 BCE, 1225 BCE. That is, they ruled Kongan region 3250 years before present. Not acceptable. Hoysala ruled Mysore and other Kongu region of Tamil Nadu 1125 BC, around that. That is 3100 years before. And Kakatiya ruled Andhra Pradesh again 3100 years before, 1105 BC. It is not at all acceptable. In the same way, from Kakatiya to present day, there elapsed 3127 years. But actually, it is 703 years. Because after Kakatiya, Vijayanagara Empire, after that Maratha Empire, after that the British rule and independence. So only 700 years are there. Then how to fill this 2400 years? There is a huge vacuum. We cannot fill it. We know who are all ruled during this 703 years. We cannot add any other king, either from Africa or Europe. It is not possible. So it is not justifiable also. So in that way, that chronological importance is important. And coming to Vijayanagara and Tanjavur, Maratha and Mysore kingdom, Vijayanagara Empire, many inscriptions, more than 60 inscriptions are dated in Kali Yuga. And after Sadasiva, King Sadasivaraya, Aravid dynasty came. It ruled Telugu region from Penukonda and Kannada region from Srirangapattanam and Tamil region from Chandragiri, close to Tirupati. So that Aravid dynasty went up to 4839 Kali also. That is 1700 also it has come, went. And Tanjavur Maratha, who are all relative to Chhatrapati Shivaji, they ruled Tanjavur and adjacent area. They issued many inscriptions dated in Kali Yuga, and based on that, their ruling period is Kali 4784 to 4993. And Mysore kingdom, in the same way, Hoysala, which ruled southern part of Karnataka, Mysore and Bangalore, and also Konkan region, they ruled. They issued many inscriptions that are dated in Kali Yuga, and it extended up to 1947 as a princely state. So from Kali 4780 to 1947, this Mysore kingdom exists, regional period ruled. If you apply this data to 5561, from Vijay nagara 443 to 4839, we can say 4500 Kali, 4600 Kali. And this is in between, in the middle area. This Mysore area 4780 to 5048, and Tanjavur 4784 to 4993. So if you apply the middle part of this, Vijayanagara ruled Deccan and southern part of Bharat in 975 BCE. That is nearly 3000 years before. How can we accept that? Mysore kingdom ruled 2625 years. Tanjavur Maratha, Chhatrapati Shivaji is related. We know the date of Chhatrapati Shivaji. How can we put them in 600 BCE, 2600 years before? So there is a huge gap from Tanjavur Maratha to present date from 2023. After Maratha, only British period and independence. Only 198 or 200 years. So we cannot explain 2400 years. Everywhere the 2400 years gap is there. We cannot fool. Because after Maratha kingdom was fall down, only British ruled India. After that, independence. So how can only 225 years? Maybe the inscription issued in the middle part of the Maratha. So 198 years. We cannot fill this 2400 years gap. We know who ruled. We cannot add any other ruler in this period. So in that way also, this date is difficult to accept, and it also shows the chronological interconnectivity exactly. Why it is important, how it should be satisfied. Now coming to the last part, the inscriptions during Mughal, Sultan and British and Dutch French rule. Till date I am discussing. During Mughal, Alamgir rule, there is an inscription in Kunnatur in Tamil Nadu. Its date is Kali Yuga 4800. It was issued during the dynasty of Mughal, and the king name is Alamgir Padshah, that is Aurangzeb. So Kali Yuga 4800, Aurangzeb ruled Delhi. If you apply this date to 5561, because Kali Yuga 4800, if you apply from 4561, then 5561 minus 4800, it will be 5535 minus 4800 will be 725 BCE. So this means Mughal Aurangzeb ruled Delhi in 725 BCE. That is 2700 years before. We know when Aurangzeb come, who are all they. So it is not acceptable. In the same way, there is a Sultan of Kashmir, Zian ul Abidin. During this period, there is an inscription at Bhubaneswari. Photocopy is there. It is in near Jammu Kashmir in Srinagar Tahsil. The date is Kali 4530. If you apply this Kali 4530, if you subtract it from 5525, the date of Kali Yuga beginning as per the date of Mahabharata war at 5561, then Zian ul Abidin ruled Kashmir in 995 before Common Era. That is nearly 3000 years before present. It is not acceptable. In the same way, Bijapur Sultan, Dynasty Adil Shah and Bijapur, King Ibrahim Shah. During this period, there is an inscription issued. Date is Kali Yuga 4717. That is Saka 1540. If you apply this date to 5561, then Ibrahim Shah ruled Bijapur in 808 BCE. We have to subtract 4717 from 5525 based on this date, because 6 years is the difference that scholar has given. So Ibrahim Shah ruled 2830 years before present. It is not at all possible. Actually, this thing is 406 years before present. Then this is the most important inscription, because it mentions the date, Kali Yuga date, and Sakara and Hijri year also. It was there in Panagalla inscription of Nalgonda Taluk, Telangana state. It was detailed in annual reports of Indian epigraphy issued by Archaeological Survey of India, Government of India, 47th number of 1970-71, stone inscription, Telugu. Its date is Kali Yuga 4989, Sakara is 1810, and Hijri year is 1306. It is an important inscription because it mentions Hijri along with Kali Yuga. So if you apply this to the date 5561, then we have to accept that history year began in around 1842 BCE. That is 3864 years before present. We have to accept. If you accept this date, then we have to accept this also. But actually, it is around 1400 years before present only. We know that. Inscription during British rule. There is an inscription at Nungambakam, Chennai. Astronomical Observatory Hall was constructed by East India Company under the supervision of Michael Toppin, who is an astronomer, in the year 1792. On the pillar, it is mentioned Kali Yuga era 4893. Both Tamil and Telugu are issued. If we apply this again to date 5561, then East India Company, that is British, ruled Chennai in 632 before Common Era. We have to subtract 4893 from 5525. That is 2654 years before present. At that time, we know what is the condition of British island. Roman themselves ruled up to 500 AD only. Before that, we don't know what is the history of British. But if we are based on this record and this record, then British ruled Chennai in 2654 years before present. That is not acceptable. And inscription during Dutch rule. So I have to cover all Europeans. So I have taken. This is from Sri Naganatha Swami Temple, Nagapattanam in Tamil Nadu. Kali Yuga date is 4875 and Sakayara is 1695. It was issued during the period of Dutch governor Billy Singhi. Again, if we consider this date, then Dutch ruled Nagapattanam around 650 BCE. That is 2672 years before present. We know what, we even don't know any history of Dutch during this period, 650 BCE. And inscription during French rule. It is from Villanur in Pondicherry, Sri Kameswara Swami Temple. Its date is Kali Yuga 4982, issued during the rule of French governor Léonce Lugier. That inscription is photocopy is with me. And if we consider this date and this both, then it means that French ruled Pondicherry around 543 BCE. That is 2565 years. We don't know what is the condition of Europe beyond Roman invasion. That is at the maximum Roman invasion 2000 years before. Before that, we don't know what is the case. But it was 2565 years before present. French ruled Pondicherry. How can we accept this? So if you apply the same sort, I need not explain again thing. This is the year of Mahabharata war and Kali Yuga beginning, 36 years, 4530 years to Kashmir Sultan, 4717 years to Bijapur Sultan, 4800 to Mughal Aurangzeb, 4875 years to Dutch, 4893 years to British, and 4982 years for French. If we say that the British ruled Chennai in 632 BCE, 2632. 600 years before, not at all acceptable. So from French rule of Pondicherry to present day, if we consider this date, then the difference from present date to French rule of Pondicherry, it will be 2565 years, but actually 141 years only. So how can we account for this difference, 2400 years? Because after French, we got independence. Just 75 years, and French rule another 75 years. We cannot add anything, any kingdom or dynasty, any democratic rule between this. There is a huge vacuum of for 2400 years. So it is not justifiable. So I combine all these narrations in one thing. The same thing, you can Chalukya, Kamarupa, Assam, Pandya, Chola, Gaur dynasty of Silgat, Kadamba, Hoysala, Kakatiya, Vijay nagara, Kashmir Sultan, Bijapur Sultan, Mughal, Tanjavur Maratha, Mysore Kingdom, and Dutch, British, and French. All these things shows that this is not acceptable date. Because of this date, all they have ruled before Common Era. That is 2500 years before for French and 2600 years for British, and Chalukya 3800 years, and Vijay nagara 3000 years, at least 3000 years. So it is not acceptable. There is no chronological interconnectivity. They cannot explain this huge vacuum of 2400 years by any means. I continuously given from Chalukya to French, I have given all the dates, chronological. This part I will give in the literature evidence. I will give this part. I will give. Now I have given all this part, second part. In the first part, I will give in the explanation in the how it is chronologically interlinked. The continuous chronology is there for this part in the second. And another thing with this point, I want to conclude. If we say that the year of Mahabharata was 2500 BC or 2000 or something later, because B.P. Lal 1950s on excavation of Hastinapura and Indraprastha, he mentioned that Mahabharata war happened in 800 BC. Now archaeological excavations at Sinoli and Mainpuri and other places in Uttar Pradesh, it is beyond 2000 BCE. So it crossed 1200 years ancient. So if more excavations are carried out, it may reach 3100 or 200. Because archaeology, that excavations are not done fastly. There are incomplete excavations are there. Many things has to be done. So if we take that 2500 BC, we need not consider even 2000. Even if we consider 2500 BCE, then Kali Yuga beginning will be 2464 BC, 36 years. Then it means Chalukya ruled 1271 Common Era, that is just 750 years, and Vijay nagara ruled 2086 Common Era. At present, it shows that at present we are under the rule of Vijay nagara in southern India, and also this Deccan part is by Bahmani Sultan, and northern part will be Gilji or Duklat Vamsa. Now, it is not Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister. It is the rule of Vijayanagara, Bahmani Sultans, and also Gilji and Duklat Vamsa. That is the thing if we apply this 2500 BC date. Because 2023 is here. Yep. Around that only Vijayanagara Empire. Because we are taking middle part only. Before that it would have started. So now Vijayanagara Empire are ruled. And Kashmir Sultan, Bahmani Sultan, Bijapur Sultan, Mughal, Tanjavur Maratha, Mysore, Dutch, British, and French, they will come only in the future. This is the date for British 2429. How it is wrong? Totally wrong. We cannot justify it. We cannot explain in any way. So that date also is wrong. If we give any date around this or after this, it is not acceptable. So what is acceptable? See, 75 years of independence, 150 years of foreign colonial rule, 100 years of Maratha Empire, 260 years of Vijayanagara Empire, 200 years of Hoysala, Kakatiya, and later Pandya. They ruled different parts in the same time. And 300 years of later Chola Empire and 300 years of Pallava Empire. During that period, Chalukya, Badami, Rashtrakuta, and Chalukya of Kalyan, they ruled each for 200 years, total 600 years. So if we add all these things, this is the date of Aihole inscription of Chalukya Badami, that it will come 5120 years from present, or if we add the inscription of early Chola king, that is Parandaka Chola Chakravarti, 4044, it will come 5129 years. That is the beginning of Kali Yuga, and 36 years before is the Mahabharata year from present. So now Kali Yuga began 5122 years before present, or 23 is absolutely correct. In that way only we have to derive the date based on chronology, and we have to explain the chronological correctness to that date. So based on that, the date of Kurukshetra war, because Maharishi Vedavyasa and other Purana mentioned that a few decades, that is 36 years or 40, 45 years, not more than that. So 5160 years before present, around 3143 BCE, that can be explained by chronological correctness, and there cannot be any contradiction in the chronology. We have seen a lot of contradiction in 2500 or 5561. Like that, there will be no contradiction, no paradoxes, and it will be coherent with the chronology. So coming to the conclusion, within 2 or 3 minutes I will close. Inscription of more than 1 lakh in number, issued by various dynasties and kings throughout the length and breadth of this nation. That is separated by thousands of kilometers, from north Kashmir to south Tamil Nadu and west Gujarat to Assam, over a period of more than 1300 years. Because I have found an inscription 2000 Kali, that means more than 3000 years, issued continuously and consistently, prove that there exists an inseparable chronological interconnectedness between all the historical events of India. So hence, on fixing the date of Mahabharata war, this chronological inseparability should be given its due importance and should be considered. Without that, the research is incomplete and insufficient. Hence, any date derived by Mahabharata war should be coherent and chronologically fit with the previous, or at least especially later historical events, because they are all linked to the Mahabharata date of year of war. This is the conclusion we got from all these narrations. We cannot say that because just one factor, Arundhati Vashishta, we cannot throw away all these lakhs and lakhs of inscriptions. Throw away the data of thousands and thousands of kings who are written on the inscriptions, hundreds of dynasties. And we cannot call crores of people, the ancestors who lived since 1300 or 2000, 3000 years, as liars, or they are all utter foolish who can be cheated by anybody. We cannot just throw away all these lakhs of inscriptions by just mentioning one factor, Arundhati Vashishta, or any archaeological lacking. So that is the important thing. We cannot say our ancestors are liar or utter foolish people to believe anything uneasily deceivable. That we cannot accept. Lakhs of inscriptions are there, and it is as the say always. And Kali Yuga inscriptions are dated through this chronological interconnectedness absolutely. There are inscriptions Kali Yuga dated 2000 year also. I have found out, I have got the photocopy and estamped copy also. It is 3123 years before present, 1101 BCE. There are inscriptions before 1500 years also. These are all the examples of that inscriptions. And if you read the Dr. Buchanan's traveled from Madras to Gurk, 3 volumes, and also Mackenzie collections, you can find manuscripts, palm leaf, or he mentioned palm leaf or paper manuscripts where the dates of Kali were given from 500 Kali, that is 4,500, 5,000 years before itself. 4,500 years before itself. Kali 500, all date given in that. So there are a lot of inscriptions that are dated much before 1500. So in this session, based on inscription, I explained the chronological inseparability and interconnectedness. In the next session, based on literature, I will explain the same thing. With that, I conclude. These are all my contact numbers, my mail ID, and my website. And I thank one and all. I express my heartfelt thanks to Aditya ji for giving me this opportunity, and also all the volunteers of Sattology and the university scholars and students. Thank you very much. Thank you, ji. Nandi ji.
Thank you so much for sharing all this information. And one of the things which really comes to the mind is the so many inscriptions, and they're consistent all over India. And I think this must be considered also. But sometimes the inscriptional evidence is not enough. Sometimes, because inscriptions can be made by following somebody. And just like for example, Madhvacharya said Mahabharata happened 4,000 years back. Just generally, he said that means doesn't know that Madhvacharya, because if he's speaking to general audience, then he knows why to. He doesn't want to get into the nitty gritties. We also do the same thing. It happened very long time back, thousands of years back. But
we can say, ji, one or two inscriptions that maybe they followed, but consistently they are following. The oldest inscription Kali date is 2000 BC. That is more than 3,000 years. For every 100 years, there are a lot of hundreds of inscriptions throughout the date, thousands of kilometers separated from each one. So that we cannot say that they follow. They may be followed, one or two inscriptions or 10 or 20, not lakhs and lakhs of inscriptions. I have found out 800 inscriptions, Kali date.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because every kingdom maintained, like there is a particular inscription of Indraprasth, which is found in Najafgarh. And I saw it myself this time, and it says Indraprasth was established at Samvat calendar, which comes out to be that what you are saying. Very accurately it says that. But again, there are some inscriptions in Brahmi script which mentions about see, Indraprasth date is very finite date. Everybody knows Indraprasth city was created. Hastinapur date is very old. I mean, difficult to find that.
Hastinapur is a very old ancient city.
Very ancient city.
More ancient than Indraprastha. Much ancient.
Indraprasth you can find out easily, because Indraprasth is something which is which you know it was created, and you can find out. But Hastinapur is difficult to find out. You know, Rajgir date or Grivraja date is impossible to find out, because it is existing from Treta Yuga. The city is consistently being inhabited in the hills.
Varanasi, we can say.
Varanasi, we cannot say the dates also, because you can see the dates. You can tell the dates. No, you cannot, because it's a
cannot have
Anand, the one which was created by Shivji. Ayodhya dates you cannot find out, because Ayodhya existed way before
even before Rama.
Before Ram, Manu is created that city. So thank you so much for putting an emphasis on the inscriptional evidence, and for the viewers who are watching, do let us know your feedback and do comment on the show. Namaste.
Namaskar.